everyone, good evening. I'm Shreya Dhondial. You're watching the Urban Debate here on Mirror Now. Should India talk to Pakistan? Should we restore diplomatic ties with our backstabbing neighbor? Should we open up our borders for trade once again? These, ladies and gentlemen, are questions being debated this evening after yet another push for Aman Ki Asha. 117 intellectuals and political leaders from India and Pakistan have written a letter to the prime ministers of both countries, India and Pakistan, urging them to normalize ties. Look at the timing. This is a year after Pahalgam, where 3 Pakistani terrorists killed 26 Indian citizens after identifying them as Hindus. What do the peaceniks want? Well, amongst other things, they want a restoration of diplomatic ties. They want both countries to open up their airspace and trade routes to each other. They also want bus and visa services to be revived. They say that the next generation of Indians and Pakistanis deserves better ties between the two neighbors. Now, amongst those who have signed on are Manishankar Iyer and at least 2 former chief ministers of Jammu and Kashmir, Farooq Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti. Listen in.
PDP's agenda has always been that Jammu Kashmir, which has become a bone of contention between our country and Pakistan, has to become a bridge between the two sides. And I'm happy that, RSS senior leadership like Hosbole and then Mohan Bhagwat, they have also endorsed this stand that, there has to be a dialogue between the two sides. There has to be, exchange of people between the two sides. Negotiations should happen. So this is not something new that PDP is talking about. Even SAARC is being held hostage to the animosity between the two countries. I don't think there is anything wrong, if you open Jammu Kashmir from all the sides on LOC, on LAC with China, it will be a bridge, not between India and Pakistan.
तो हमने इसको हमेशा सपोर्ट किया है और इसी तनाजुर में मैंने पिछले जुमा को भी जो बात कही कि अगर ईरान और अमेरिका मेज पे आ सकते हैं तो हिंदुस्तान और पाकिस्तान भी मेज पे आ सकते हैं और हम तवक्का रखते हैं कि मैंने उसी तनाजुर में जो है वो जो इंडिया की जो लीडरशिप है उनको भी अपील की है कि वो भी डायलॉग की जो है वो राह उसको इख्तियार करें, क्योंकि जंगों से मसले हल नहीं होते। जो मसले हल होते हैं वो जो है बातचीत से होते हैं।
महात्मा गांधी का मानना होता था हमेशा से कि राज्य और वहां के नागरिकों में एक फर्क हमें करना होगा। हम पीपल टू पीपल जो एक कांटेक्ट है उसकी बहाली, क्योंकि देखिए बाकी चीजें राज्य के समक्ष जटिलताएं होती हैं, उन जटिलताओं को आप समझिए। जल का मामला है, आतंकवाद का है, हम सब कई ऐसी विसंगतियों को भी देख रहे हैं। पहलगाम के ठीक बाद आप क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं दुबई में, क्या हाथ नहीं मिलाएंगे? मतलब ये पाखंड है कि नहीं है? इस तरह के पाखंड से बचने का एकमात्र उपाय है कि आप एक तरफ आप ट्रैक टू डिप्लोमेसी में लगे हुए हैं, राम माधव जी का नाम आ रहा है, अभी कभी आकर के हल्का डिनायल होता है।
Today, when asked about the letter and the latest push at peace, this is what Congress's communication chief Jairam Ramesh has said.
The Prime Minister Modi should have a discussion. The Pakistan policy, like foreign policy, whether it's China, whether it's Pakistan, this has to be discussed with opposition parties. Your fundamental premise was that we must isolate Pakistan because it is continuing to sponsor, orchestrate, support terrorism in India, of which Pahalgam. The Prime Minister should call opposition parties and say, this is the challenge, these are the challenges we are facing with China, and I want to build across the party consensus. These are the challenges I'm facing in relation to Pakistan. Give us your ideas and let's formulate a national response. He's never done that in 12 years.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is not just the Institute of Peace and Progress, a track 2 mechanism that is pushing India to keep its doors open to Pakistan. The BJP's own ideological fountainhead, the RSS, has been advocating the same for the last few months. Just 15 days ago, Mohan Bhagwat backed his number 2, Dattatreya Hosbole, and said, and I'm quoting him, "We are not Hitler. We should keep some doors to Pakistan open." Listen in to what Mr. Hosbole had said.
If the Pakistanis, the pinpricks trying to give, like in Pahalgam, etc., we have to answer wholesomely according to the situation. Because the security and self-respect of a country and a nation has to be protected, and the government of the day should take note of it and take care of it. But at the same time, we need not close the doors. We should always be ready to engage them in a dialogue. That's why diplomatic relations are maintained.
Okay.
Trade and commerce goes on.
Yeah.
Visas are being given. So that we should not stop it. But because there should be a window for always for a dialogue.
Now, the government of India on its part has been clear. Blood and water, terror and talks cannot flow together. India's Foreign Secretary said that track 2 with Pakistan can do exactly what they want to do, but track 1 is certainly not on track. Listening to Mr. Misri.
Dozens of these kinds of events take place in dozens of places around the world on a whole variety of subjects. So there's nothing new, nothing special about these events. As far as we are concerned, these are private events organized by private parties. There's nothing official about them, as far as we are concerned. I mean, obviously, I cannot speak for the government of Pakistan, but as far as the government of India is concerned, there is no official participation, no official support or involvement in these visits. When they participate in such events, they speak for themselves. In any way, they cannot in any way represent the view of the government of India.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is little doubt that Pakistan is feeling the pinch after India turned off the Indus Water tap. So Pakistan has everything to gain if talks resume. But what does India gain out of it? Fact is, every time there has been a push for peace, Pakistan has paid India back with betrayal. Question is, should we continue to talk to them? This is what the BJP is saying.
एक तरफ ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के माध्यम से हमने घर में घुसकर मारा आतंकियों को, एक नया नॉर्मल सेट किया, जिनका पुराना नॉर्मल था कि 26/11 के बाद कुछ मत करो, मोस्ट फेवर्ड नेशन स्टेटस दे दो। ये दिखाता है कि कैसे ये सेना विरोधी, ये चाहते हैं कि आतंकवाद पर कोई कार्रवाई ना हो। ये दरअसल सॉफ्ट कॉर्नर ऑन टेररिज्म रखते हैं और बार बार चाहे कांग्रेस हो, उनका इकोसिस्टम हो या इंडिया अलायंस हो, वो इस प्रकार की बातें करता है।
बातचीत से भारत को परहेज नहीं है। दुनिया के तमाम छोटे बड़े देशों के साथ भारत के दोस्ताना ताल्लुकात हैं। टेरर एंड टॉक्स कभी इकट्ठे नहीं चल सकते। जिन लोगों ने पत्र लिखा है वो भी इस बात को जानते हैं, वो भी इस बात को जानते हैं कि जिस पाकिस्तान के लिए बातचीत के लिए पत्र लिखा गया है, उस पाकिस्तान की गारंटी कौन लेगा?
अभी तो ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में जो मार खाया वो दर्द है कि नहीं उनको? उनकी इस तरह की जबान जब चलती है तो जबान बंद करना जानता है भारत। ये गिदर भपकी है और पाकिस्तानियों को बड़बोलपन और गिदर भपकी के शिकार हैं वो गिदर भारत को क्या गिदर भपकी दे पाएंगे?
My guest this evening, Yuvraj Pokharna, is an author, he's a columnist joining us on the broadcast. Vikramjit Singh, he's a war correspondent, national security analyst joining us on the broadcast. Hi Vikramjit, good to have you on the show. Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey, defense expert, someone who served extensively in Jammu and Kashmir, joining us on the broadcast. Pratikit Pen, geopolitical analyst, thank you very much. And Khaliqur Rahman, leader of the Congress party, joining us on the broadcast. General Pandey, as someone who served in Jammu and Kashmir, as someone who is aware of the realities of Jammu and Kashmir more than any one of us in this panel, what do you make of this letter that has been written? And do you think that it needs to be acted upon?
Yeah, thank you, Shreya. Thanks for having me over. And something very strange happens, any time when Pakistan is pushed to a corner and they start organizing events on their own soil or all across the Western countries. There is a set of people who suddenly turn up their voice from this side of our country, and then they suddenly start becoming Aman Ki Asha and they want to engage. into peace process. Yes, we must engage into peace process, but with whom? The letter has been signed to address to Shehbaz Sharif, who has got no control, nothing to do. It should have been technically signed to Asim Munir. But my question gets to everybody that yes, if Pakistan's agenda was limited, right? Let's say it's only for terror activities or it's for, like Mehbooba Mufti has said, there's about Jammu and Kashmir is the big bugbear between India and Pakistan. I think she needs to just very carefully listen to the conversation of Asim Munir when he's talking to all people of Pakistan origin who were called to Islamabad few days before Pahalgam was done in such a brutal manner on his instructions. They must listen to the conversation, the top leadership conversation which happens, the cricketing community which comes about and talks about picking up women and what they want to do with them. The conversation is not rhetorical. The conversation is deeply embedded.
Correct.
Not since last few years. It has been on for a long, long time. It's been much before 1947. A mindset which is so degrading to not only to minorities, to other communities, to other religion, to women, to child, to this thing. And you look at the conversation which is happening in Britain. When you enlarge all these things, well, it is safer, I think, to understand that this is surely political. This is also batting alongside with the enemy, trying to embolden that enemy every time our prime ministers have gone across with the so-called open heart and mind. You know, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, when he crossed and his hand was not shaken by Musharraf. Within months, we are having Kargil getting unrolled, being rolled out. Modi went out to Lahore on his first this thing just to meet Nawaz Sharif, and what was Nawaz Sharif talking about? So when you look at the whole thing, you realize that shaking hand with this dangerous element, right, which has been not only talking dubious to us, it has been doing to its own major two partners like China and America. You just can't trust this element.
Okay.
And I have been on the receiving end, not me. Number of civilians in Uri, in border areas, in Jammu and Kashmir have been on receiving end for last 4 decades, 4 decades plus. There is just no way the mindset which is there entrenched is going to change with talks at the top leadership or ever.
Okay, no, it's a fair point, but then, the extension is RSS is not part of the so-called ecosystem. The RSS for the last couple of months has gone out on a limb, General Pandey, gone out on a limb, including Mohan Bhagwat, to say we are not Hitler, we should always keep our doors with Pakistan open, etc. One RSS senior member also saying that in 7 years from now, you can own a house in Pakistan and you can own a shop in Pakistan. So all of that has also been said by the RSS. Therefore, Vikramjit, can I just bring you into this conversation and ask you how you would respond when one of the sound bites that we played said that if the US and Iran can come to the talking table, surely India and Pakistan can come to the talking table as well.
I think, Shreya, this Iran, the West Asia, the Gulf War has triggered off some amount of apprehensions within India. That if we just cut off ourselves from Pakistan, we could lurch into a situation where there's a communication gap, there is some incident or an accident which triggers off some kind of an escalation. So I think even the worst, during the Cold War, the USSR and USS did maintain some contact. But we already have a contact at the level of the Director General Military Operations and the Director Military Operations on the Pakistani side. So we can avoid a possible unintended escalation. But that said, I think we need to understand the most important thing. And that is Pakistan is rattled to the core because of the Indus Water Treaty abeyance.
Correct.
This is what is worrying Pakistan no end. If you look at it, after Sindoor and IWT abeyance, they have kind of shut off the terror tap in Jammu Kashmir. I'm talking about Jammu Kashmir. There are no more these ambushes on the army, on the RR, terrorist attacks on tourists, grenade attacks, IEDs are much, much less. Because Pakistan now knows that the minute they do this, India stand on the IWT and Sindoor, possibly Sindoor too, is justified. So, they're organizing these supposedly track to diplomacy efforts. They're saying, okay, we open our airspace to Indian commercial aircraft and you go back to the status quo ante on the Indus Water Treaty. And they've held a international conference on the IWT in Pakistan. All this is only showing one thing, that now the equation is not Kashmir. The equation now is Indus Water Treaty. And the flashpoint that Pakistan is now projecting to the West, the nuclear flashpoint, is the Indus Water Treaty. And the West, unfortunately, because of Pakistan's role in facilitating the Iran-US talks, is more lending an ear to Pakistan again. So Pakistan is using this moment of history to try and leverage Western think tanks, Western opinion makers, Western analysts, Western governments to try and get India to again do, okay, let's do talking, let's get back to normal, let's do handshake, blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, what is their aim? Is to restore status quo ante on the Indus Water Treaty, because it is a source of insecurity, it is a source of uncertainty. If Pakistan builds dams today in Pakistan to store water, the province of Sindh is antagonized because they fear Pakistani Punjab will again strangle the water to Sindh. And then Pakistan has this huge jihadi industry, the narco jihadi industry, which was aimed at India. That has been put in abeyance. Okay, if Pakistan is demonstrating its sincerity on terrorism, let it expatriate the UN Security Council terrorists listed on the UN Security Council. And in Pakistan, let them expatriate them to India for trial, if it is sincere.
Can I just bring you in, Pratikrit? Is it just the Indus Water Treaty? I understand that right now Pakistan is parched. It is feeling the pinch. Vikramjit has already spoken about a concerted, organized effort to build an opinion against what India is doing. And perhaps in some ways, this new peace push is because of the Indus Water Treaty. One understands that. My question to you is, Pakistan can build whatever mahal they want to build. It is not just mahal being built in Pakistan, it is mahal being built in India as well, right? Because you have at least 56 signatories. More signatories than Pakistan are Indians in this list of 117. And RSS hasn't signed on, but RSS seems to believe the same. So my question to you is, there is now growing noise that is batting for India to speak with Pakistan. Again, I'm asking you, is this just the Indus Water Treaty, or is it something else as well? Is it something we don't know? Is it perhaps a push by the government from behind? They are just testing waters by asking the RSS to speak, or by pushing these 117 to sign on this letter?
Well, I don't know if there is a government hand behind of this or not, but I can say one thing. Most of the people who have signed are the usual suspects who used to sign during the Aman Ki Asha time.
Correct.
So they have not changed, number one. Secondly, is it only about Indus Water Treaty and the kind of threats that are coming from the other side? I think many of the signatories should have also told Pakistan, give up terrorism, talks will continue. I don't know, in the track to diplomacy, have they asked Pakistan that when are you going to abandon use of terrorism as an instrument of statecraft? See, there are two concerns. For Pakistan, it is not just the Indus Water Treaty. It is also about the implosion that is happening from inside. Every time Pakistan has been on the verge of implosion from inside, they have used the India card to galvanize the country. Today, what is happening in POJK, and not just in Balochistan, is a very big sign for cause for worry, because in POJK, they're openly saying we are not part of Pakistan. Now, I don't know what the government of India is behind this or not. I will not comment on that. But I think the government is very clear about the American and the Pakistani approach. See, let me say this thing. Last year, when Mohammad Yunus was in power, many of the top generals of Pakistan have stated one thing, that next attack on India will happen from the east. Now, we know what happened in Bangladesh from 2024 onwards. the kind of infiltration the Pakistanis have done, what is happening over there, who all are the players who are trying to create another front for India. So against that backdrop, what option India is left with than to actually shut down the tap? Even on the issue of Indus Water Treaty, most people actually have not read the treaty. India is not even using the 20% water that India is supposed to use. Even they're not even using that. The problem with Pakistan is that they have no storage capacity, then they have their own issues. But look at this. Let's understand, there are many countries who still believe that India is the problem for tomorrow. So by giving these sermons of talks and all of that, every time you have given a long rope to Pakistan, what have they done? They've used that rope to tie a knot and choke you from behind. They have done it. So, government has never said that there will be no communication. Of course, at the DGMO level, the communication keeps on happening. The issue is this: you give up terrorism. So why is nobody talking about that part? The moment you give up terrorism as an instrument of statecraft, even if Pakistan wants it, some of their sponsors in the West will not allow that to happen.
Pratikrit, if that happens, what will the Pakistani army do? They'll be unemployed.
So that is why the money will stop coming, and that's why it's a far more complex situation with a lot of subterfuges than an issue of binary that it is because of Indus Water Treaty or that issue. It is a very complex issue where Pakistan may be partly behind whatever else is happening. There are other mentors and sponsors. Otherwise, why do you think every time Pakistan keeps on getting money from World Bank and IMF, in spite of having a Guinness Book of World Record of being the biggest defaulter on earth? Who gives them the money? The money is given just to ensure that Pakistan keeps floating. This country, I can guarantee, will never collapse because the West will never allow you to collapse. It is a very great leverage for them to control India. They wanted to create another leverage in Bangladesh using Pakistan. So in that kind of a scenario, I mean, for India to give a leeway right now will be foolhardy. You cannot, you just cannot. And you know what is the choke point. So you have actually taken Pakistan by the jugular, which is water, saying very clearly, I don't want to choke off the water. India will not store the whole water. It will flood India. India is doing saying something very, very simple. Please give up terrorism as an instrument of statecraft. Okay. If you do that, you will continue with everything else.
Okay, Khaliqur Rahman, as the principal opposition party in this country, what is the Congress's stand on that? Today, Jairam Ramesh was asked that question. The answer was neither here nor there. He simply kept saying even the RSS wants it. And the government of India should take, the opposition into confidence. But where does the Congress party actually stand?
Yeah, thank you, Shreya, and to all my co-panelists, in fact, and to all your viewers. It's really nice to see the mirror now again resuming. Let me tell you that for years, the BJP and the RSS, use Pakistan as an election issue, actually. And today, when the RSS talks about the dialogue, does that mean that the BJP's earlier rhetoric was only political? I mean, that is the question which is lingering in the minds of not only me, but of all the Indians. And let me tell you about the Congress party. Congress party has always maintained that terrorism and dialogue cannot be separated from the accountability, because that is very important. One, we have to understand. We have never opposed peace, but peace must protect India's sovereignty, self-respect, and the security, because that is very important. Congress always believes India must be strong, secure, and confident. So we support every step that protects India's interest, whether it is firm action against terrorism or meaningful diplomacy. So, I mean, it's very important. But the BJP and RSS must explain their inconsistency, actually, because they cannot spend years branding others as weak for advocating dialogue. And then they claim the same position as their own. So India deserves honesty, not just political double standard. That is very important.
Yes.
That one needs to understand. And I really, want to ask the BJP that the national security cannot be reduced just only to the election slogans. So it is very important. See, and apart from that, because we want to know what is the India's foreign policy today, because the government has to come, very clean on the India's foreign policy, whether they have a different foreign policy for the world and a specific foreign policy for the Pakistan. And everyone knows that the BJP is testing the water through the RSS. And this is, I think, even a layman who doesn't understand the geopolitics can also understand this fact. So I'm really happy that you have, kept this debate today.
Okay.
And we have a very esteemed panelist here.
Okay, unfortunately, the BJP doesn't want to speak on the issue. And that tells me something. But Yuvraj, as someone who bats for the BJP most of the times, can I ask you, what is this, what is this hypocrisy? And the Congress is pointing out to it, but it's not just the Congress that is pointing out to it. It is something that I have said in the past as well. You are perfectly okay not to talk to Pakistan because you say terror and talks cannot go together. Can we please get that graphic up? Thank you very much on the cricket one. And yet you continue to play cricket with Pakistan. Ye to hypocrisy hai na? Aaj if there is a group of 117 peaceniks who are saying talk, and you are calling it hypocritical, and you are saying that this is part of the Pakistan's organized effort at trying to create a mahal, look at what the government of India is doing. Why are we playing Pakistan in cricket fields? We are not playing in India, okay? But what difference does it make? We are playing them in Dubai. We are playing them in other parts of the world. So ये तो hypocrisy है ना?
Absolutely.
Well, namaste Shreya and everyone. There could not be have a better topic to speak when I'm coming back and Mirror now is resuming its operations. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
See, as far as the word peaceniks go, I may have some reservations on the use of the very term because the long list of 117 not so gentlemen and not so gentle lady included meanwhile a known separatist, Farooq Abdullah, John Dayal, Rohini Singh, A.S. Daulat and the likes. But yes, when it comes to having double standards, you need to understand one thing. Equating the stand of RSS and the BJP are two different things. They're not just apples and oranges, but they're completely different things altogether. What RSS wanted was a one-to-one people-to-people connect. And BJP said terror talks cannot go hand in hand. But again, we are conflating a couple of things. In fact, the stand of BCCI, I am sure you might not remember or recall this, but I was on Times Now opposing the stands of BCCI when it comes to playing cricket with Pakistan. I have never supported that. And yes, I feel BJP should have walk the talk, and BJP should have issued an ultimatum to BCCI secretary. But yes, this debate is not about BCCI, what I'm being told.
नहीं, BCCI के बारे में तो नहीं है. But hypocrisy, when there is something hypocritical that we'll see, we'll talk about it, right, General Pandey? Talks नहीं हो सकता, लेकिन cricket खेल सकते हैं. How's that right? As someone who's served India, as someone who's been part of India's national security, please help me understand how is that right? And how is it okay? There are many people who will ask this question as well. How is it okay, General Pandey, that you don't want anything to do with Pakistan? They are your neighbors, they are a nuisance, we all understand that. But a bigger nuisance is China. How many men have we lost in Galwan? For how long did the standoff in eastern Ladakh continue? And yet we have resumed our ties with China. We are happily meeting them. We are happily opening our airspace and our trade routes with them. Why?
Yeah, so these are, I guess, these are questions which possibly, fortunately, I'm not in the government, BJP, Congress, or other people. So I can only just frankly say, as a military professional or person who sees, think not much into the gray zone, but into 0 and 1. And I look at consistency part of this entire engagement with Pakistan. So when you look at, while we may like to connect China and Pakistan for much more clarity and being consistent in our equations with the two of them, I look at time and again, I think our leadership from India has made an effort.
Correct.
Not only on track 1, but track 2 and all track possible, starting from movies, great movies that they are all very fine people and we are possibly the bad guys. We have done everything, but what comes back is not peace. There's been talk of opening of the various corridors, and I remember in every time when things at Muzaffarabad or what are the corridors at command exchanges to happen, what came in? The Was it goods? Was it hawala money? Was it fake currency notes? Was it trucks? What is weapon? All those things were coming up from the other side. What is going from our side is goodwill. It's all right. We are a bigger country. We need to be good. We have to lead the nations which are in the region, which are poorer. But there is a limit to it. And when the leadership, we are not talking of people, when the leadership of a country comes up onto the stand and makes a couple of statements. Okay, let's look at last year worth of statement after Operation Sindhu or before, or let's say even in last few months. What has come out from the Pakistani shores? We'll nuke in case water is stopped. We will destroy. We will do everything. Unfortunately, Shreya, let's give in to one thing, that their system of strategic communication, their harnessing of information warfare elements which have been embedded in the Western environment, within their own country, and more importantly within India, is fantastic. Right? They just have to just switch on the tap and you will find everybody jumping up to suck up to their language, or people are great, everything is fine, hunky-dory. But, please understand, a leadership which is locked away, Imran Khan, which is the most eminent, prominent leader of the country. They have just declared JAC, which is part of occupied territories, and they are just looking for freedom for their normal human rights, basic rights. They are looking for food, fuel. They have been locked away. The people who are bombing away their children, own children, in Afghanistan, and civilians on this side, how do you think are they going to respond to a talk or across the table and shaking of hands? They are going to come back again empowered, emboldened, that yes, let some adequate time pass away from an incident, and these people will come back to the talk for the next right time when we can strike them. So there is one part of Pakistan which plays out, which we possibly have to start dealing with in a similar manner, in a different manner, which is slightly more harsher. When you connect the same thing to, let's say, fire for China, which you're trying to argue a case, and unfortunately I've served on both the sides, their nature, when you look at Galwan. So my question, counter question, and you were there, and we were actually very heavily involved in this whole issue being released on television when this whole thing came out on Galwan. I remember you were the one who was breaking that news. We lost 20 men. But I'm not looking at reciprocity of people being killed on either side. The maturity of both sides to recognize that we cannot continue to fight on the borders was recognized over a period of 4 years. Eventually, when the ice cold postures which are there on the LAC, there was a pushback. There were hundreds of back channels, things working between the scene, because China wants to move on a path of progress, peace, prosperity for themselves. They don't want to get embroiled into smaller fights and all. Unfortunately, so does India. And we have made all the attempts. Yeah. How much more should be made? How many more civilians are going to be killed? I would like to know from the same peace nicks, I'd rather say peace nukes, that how many times have they written letters when Pahalgam happened, when Pulwama happened, when civilians were killed, when Gurdwara Sahib Mandir were hit, when the civilians were killed during those 4 days, 88 hours of Operation Sindoor and the response of the Pakistanis. How many times people have written? How many times people have written letters to various same set? This is politics they are playing. They don't have possibly a right intent. It's all right. I'm not sure about what RSS wants and what they represent and whom they represent. I'm not part of their ideology. But frankly, anybody who's speaking out really needs to look at into mirror and say very clearly they want to engage with people. With which people? Those people don't have voice in that country. Their people are totally sidelined. The entire leadership of civilian environment or political environment is controlled by one thought, and that thought is very, very radical. It is isolationist. They will come about to do any harm which is required to be done for at least for India, because that is how Pakistan came about to be an artificial country. That is the reason for them to come about.
Okay. 2 final questions, Pratikit, to you, and then to Vikramjit. Pratikit, do you make the distinction between Pakistan and China that General Pandey has just drawn for us?
I absolutely, no, I agree to General Sir, because in case of the Galwan skirmish, it was still a military to military skirmish. However unfortunate it was, China was at least not coming and asking religion of innocent armless Indians and killing them. So there's a huge difference between what happened in Galwan and what happened in Pahalgam. Secondly, the presumption that there's a distinction between the civilians and the government and army of Pakistan. In the last rites of the funeral of Shoaib Akhtar's brother, the top commanders of LAT came in. So how do you create that distinction? Number three, government has not stopped anyone from talking. If had it done so, the track 2 or whatever it was, it's going on, it would not have happened. It is just that the government has said that we will not talk. People can talk. So the people-to-people communication is happening. Fourth, look at it. I understand the sentiment from both sides. In a global sporting event, or say the Asian Games coming up, if India goes to the hockey final and Pakistan is there, are we to boycott it and let Pakistan have the gold medal? Or we play and defeat them and have the gold medal with us? So in case of global sporting events, I think there's a lot of emotions, some sentiments of the country involved. I think it is better we play and defeat them, because this is no more an entertainment. This is something else going on. In an ICC tournament, I do not have the liberty to give up and so that the Pakistanis get the World Cup. Why should I let that happen? But am I playing it for the cause of entertainment in a bilateral match and hugging each other? No, I'm not doing that. It is not my choice that I will be playing Pakistan in the final. I have worked hard to go to the final. So I think these are important things that we need to keep in mind. And I don't believe that the distinction anymore is existing when it comes to people or the army of Pakistan. They are saying that terrorists who are sent to India are actually from common civilians' home. They are not the professional men in uniform who are coming in. So, and they are willing. There are a large number of seminaries and madrasas churning out people in large numbers every year, ready to give up their life to go to India and kill Indians. And we need to acknowledge that.
Okay.
Back to you.
Vikramjit, my final question to you is this, and I think this is in continuation, a follow-on really of what the Congress is saying and what Mr. Khaliqur Rahman is saying, that, this track 2 does have the government's blessings. If the RSS is speaking consistently, they are testing waters. And of course, Mr. Misri has come out and said that the track 2 can do what they want to do, but track 1 is not happening, etc., etc. But possibly the government will make an attempt, because for any prime minister in this country, I know you can disagree, Yuvraj, but for any prime minister in this country to leave a legacy, what is the legacy you want to leave? And what could be the biggest legacy than to establish peace between India and Pakistan?
Shreya, I think the government might have given some kind of a informal nod, because Mr. Ram Madhav was part of it.
Correct.
Whose proximity to people in the government is very well known. So some way or the other, there will be some affirmative signal. But yet the government has made it very clear to distance itself politically from this supposed track 2 diplomacy. So it's playing the government like a typical good statecraft. It also backs it and yet distances itself from the same thing. Because the government also has to send a very clear geopolitical signal to Pakistan that if you continue with terrorism, we will not let the IWT tap again open. And this is actually, all this debate boils down to Pakistan anxieties over IWT. And Shreya, remember one thing, China is there. China backed Pakistan during Op Sindoor. Pakistan also has allies in the form of Saudis, the Qataris, Turkey. Trump is backing them. Okay. So whatever the government of India does, it has to do in a very carefully calibrated and thought through manner. Whether it is the IWT, China is the upper riparian state. They're building a dam on the Brahmaputra bend, a huge dam, right, which can disrupt water flows to India. And India's approach to Pakistan on the aggression front or a conflict or whatever, China is always there. But yet at the same time, China's main geopolitical aim is regional peace and stability. They've been reiterating it time and again. So I think if the government of India mends its fences with China and restores contact, we would have effectively kind of isolated Pakistan. Because unless China has a simultaneous military maneuver along with Pakistan, what is it called, the two-front war, I don't think Pakistan has any chance of colliding with India and getting the better off in a conventional conflict. They have no chance. And Op Sindoor has driven that lesson home to them. Pakistan's geographical vulnerability is just a thin, narrow strip of land. We can hit them anywhere. Has been proven in Op Sindoor. Over that, IW2 abeyance. Water is a jugular vein. So I think India's carefully calibrated, thought through strategy in a very complex geopolitical environment will win the day.
Okay, but let's be honest here, General Pandey, we haven't exactly managed to isolate Pakistan. Under no circumstances have we managed to do that. I mean, here they are playing peacemakers between America and Iran. And there are multiple examples of how Pakistan is certainly not isolated.
Yeah, so Shreya, when you go for get the way you get humiliated on public platform, when somebody turns up to the prime minister of a country and says, yeah, come up and just tell them how important how good I am for the Nobel Peace Prize. When you humiliate a country for just, it is how you articulate. When I look at it as a very, I think I'm independent. When I look at it dispassionately, they have been used and thrown multiple times. And suddenly, and mind you, both Iran knows about Pakistan and Trump also knows the value of Pakistan. It is the tool of convenience. Just because somebody gets to wine, dine, so does the $10 million head terrorist from Syria gets to dine in the White House. That doesn't make them people with leverages or decent people. You also look at it, the state what Pakistan is in today in terms of economics, in terms of its standards. They really need to go out and beg around with Shehbaz Sharif has come out in public to say that we are going, hum sab jagah jaake bheek mangte hain. I guess this kind of empowerment with Pakistan wants, they should get what they want. The kind of humiliation with the Saudis are doing or the Qataris are doing. Let's not look at a rentier state the way it is going around sending its soldiers to fight different people's wars so that they can draw in funds in the times of crisis. This is not leverage. This is sheer short humiliation. But when we actually cast in a different manner, then it looks as if they are doing something very great shake and they are being the toast of the region and the world. I frankly don't think so. Just look at as the time passes by, time is a big this thing. India is into for a long-term big strategic game. They are there for tactical bites, for funds which has to come from the World Bank, from IMF, the release of money which they require to pay back their own, the debt which they incur on loans to be paid. So those are issues which you have to see how they are treated by the Chinese. I think that is how I would like to leave it rest of that. I think we are different. We should not start coming down to the levels of bichaulias and mediators. We got a different spec and we should stay there.
I think the opinion of this entire panel is that right now India gains nothing from talking to Pakistan. We should just do what we are doing right now, continue to squeeze them, continue to parch them, and ensure that they don't keep sending terrorists from across the border. We leave it there for the moment. The idea was to hear everyone on the issue, and I hope we have. So, General Pandey, thank you very much. Pratikit, good to have you on the show. Khalikur Rahmanji, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Vikramjit, and thank you, Yuvraj, as well for being on the show. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, a quick break. There's more on the other side. Do stay with us.